Now, I would like to introduce our next speaker, which is Dr. Siham El-Kafafi. She's joining us from Auckland in New Zealand, quite a far way, Siham. I don't know how did you manage to travel all this way. Now, Siham, I'm really grateful, first of all. It's not the first time you have contributed to these conferences. You have a massive contribution over the years on innovation, teaching, quality, and you're going to talk to us about a very important topic. And I think this is quite an exciting to listen to you. And actually, this is a proof. Even when Siham, I remember she came to us in Geneva in the conference, she said she has been traveling like, or in the US. We had a conference in Atlantic City. Dr. El-Kafafi said she has been traveling for nearly, I can't remember, 2 days. So you can see the beauty and the benefit of now bringing people from such far away. Now we're going to watch how, we're going to see how. Of course, we are missing few things, like Professor Manuel just said, we still have to improve the quality. But at least now we have a very important asset here. We can see how we can watch her, she's far away. Dr. Siham, she's a very experienced academic. She also the same like Manuel. She also one of the academics who normally bring the classroom teaching into the real life scenario. She's very experienced. She has written lots of papers. She has done lots of consultancy in New Zealand and other countries. And she's one of the leading academics in that part of the world. Siham, the floor is yours. And after we finish, we bring you both together and we will open the questions, question and answer. So if you are ready, Siham, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Halem. It is my pleasure to be with you today, and thanks for the esteemed colleagues also who are attending today. I'm trying while talking in order to share the screen, right? So you can see my screen right now. Can everybody see it? Yes?
Yes, Siham, we can see you. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, today my topic is going to be talking, as everybody is talking about COVID-19 and the pandemic and its impact on the future of work. And I am going to take New Zealand as an example on how COVID-19 affected the future of work, like everybody all over the world, and also how the application of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, yeah, I think this is better now. Yes. So what will happen is that I will start by introducing the concept of future of work, and then I am going to relate what is happening, what is the situation right now in New Zealand, and then I am going to look in more details on the United Nations Sustainable Development, specifically goal number 8, which has got 5 elements there, and how each and every single element is being applied here in New Zealand in a way of having a future of sustainability for work. Then wrap it up with a summary and a few suggestions. So as we all know, with COVID-19, or even actually, these changes has been happening before COVID-19 started due to lots of technological development, the globalization, the aging population, which have a lot of here in New Zealand, the changing of the business models. All these things actually affected the future of work, affected the requirements of labor globally. Then COVID-19 arrives, and we have now over 30 million people who are jobless. So as we can see, it had also another disruption. Okay, so what is happening is that everybody starting saying, how are we going to deal with that? What is our future? Where are we going to work? What is the new place of work is going to look like? What is our finances? How are we going to deal with this unsustainable, volatile labor market? So if we're going to look at the future of work concept, it is actually says that it deals with constant changes and disruption. And this is happening due to all the new technologies like artificial intelligence and new platforms like the one we are talking right now on. And the beauty of it, of course, that I am here in New Zealand and we're having lots of people from all around the world. I'm going to show you now a figure actually from the OECD, which is was published in 2019, that is actually mentioning that there is a lot of risks of job automation, about 70%. And there's another risk between 50 and 70% that there are lots of changes that is going to happen eventually in the labor market, as you can see in that figure, and it shows you on all the different OECD countries. Now, there is another research that has been conducted by the World Economic Forum about the future of work, and it mentions that there's 89% of the companies in the US that they are planning to adopt big data by 2022, and 70% of the US companies are arranging to integrate the Internet of Things, explore the web, and also app-enabled markets, take advantages of machine learning and cloud computing, which is things that we are already doing now, but it is going to be more and more in the future. So that brings us to the issue that if we are going to look at the skills of the workforce right now and the skills of the workforce in the future, because we need to work towards that. We don't want to be challenged all of a sudden, like what happened with COVID-19, and people all of a sudden had to go home and be confronted with lots of technological challenges. So if we are going to look at those skills requirement for the workforce, there's a shift. So there's a decline in certain skills, and there's actually a growth in certain skills. So if we're going to look at some of those skills in the list, is that there's a requirement for more analytical thinking, innovation, because of all these disruptions. We need creativity, we need innovation, we need learning strategies, like what my previous speaker was talking about, Professor Emmanuel, and also we need to have also a new critical thinking and analysis. If we look down this list, we're going to find out that there's a tendency of requirement of soft skills. So for example, right now, there's need for the manual dexterity, there is a need for maybe verbal and memory and all these things, but we don't need it in the future. We actually started from now relying less. We have little apps that reminds us. We have our diary on our phone. We have lots of computer programs that makes the finances, that calculates things for us, and we don't need it anymore. So we are assisted by technology. Now, I'm going to be moving now and talking about this situation of COVID-19 and how this has had a great implication of work. So what happened here in New Zealand is that we started on the lockdown. We are right now, we had 4 levels, and right now we are semi-normal. We're level 1, so we're out. We're outside, but still we're affected. So even though in New Zealand, we are considered one of the luckiest countries in the whole world that we combated COVID-19, but we need to recover from COVID-19. And we cannot do that while the whole world is still affected by it. If we're going to look at that figure, it actually shows the spread of COVID-19 in New Zealand by District Health Board. Until yesterday, the 19th of July, 2020, we had exactly 1,553 cases in total of COVID-19. We had only 18 deaths. And of course, because we went to level 1, we opened our borders again in order to welcome the New Zealanders who were stranded overseas. So after we declared on going to level 1 that we are free of COVID-19, we started having COVID-19 again. So as you can see in this figure, it shows you the green means all people recovered. The yellow are the active ones. Those are 75 people, and they are in self-isolation in hotels that the government has allocated for all those comers into the country. The 14 days self-isolation before they start going back to the community, and they get tested on the 3rd day and on the 14th day. The deceased, as I mentioned, is the red, and it's only 18. So now let us look at how the government here dealt with COVID-19 and how have they matched or applied the United Nations Sustainable Development, specifically goal number 8, which says promoting sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth and productive employment and decent work for all. Now, as you can see in the list in the slides, there are 5 streams of work. So I am going to take each stream and look at it, how the government adopted it through their support and actions in the community and with businesses and individuals. If we're going to look at the first one, which is actually the most important one, it's to do with the health services. There are successes, and of course, there are also challenges. The first thing is what I mentioned. They created the alert system, level 4, which was lockdown, and then we went down levels. Now we are in level 1. And this system helped in stopping community transmission. Then also they started closing all the international and national travels to combat COVID-19. They developed a helpline for the community, the health services like GPs, the mental health, the pharmacies were actually working during lockdown. They also developed certain protocols when you go to hospital entrances. They followed the sanitation regimes for the World Health Organization, and they also published procedures for the assessment and the testing of COVID-19. Now, putting down all this measurement, of course, there are still some challenges. So, one of those challenges is that there were some naughty individuals who did not actually follow the lockdown. And they jeopardized their own safety and others' safety. We have an open community here. They were actually scandalized on TV, and everybody talked about it in order to go back online. But the majority of us here in New Zealand, we kept to the lockdown rules. Also, one of the big challenges was the shortage of the PPEs, personal protective equipment. And I believe that we share most of the world the same challenges. Those 2 challenges, everybody is in the same thing. If we are going to look at the stream work number 2, which is social protection and services, the government started also assisting people so that they wouldn't lose their homes and so that they would stay in their homes during the lockdown. They started extending the time frame for the tenants. If somebody is breaching the lease, from 10 working days to 30 working days. Also for the mortgages, extended defaulting from 20 working days to 40 working days. They had also a residential rent freeze for 6 months. And also the landlords could not actually get rid of their tenants during this 6 months, except of course if a tenant wanted to leave. Also, they had lots of the services working at that time, as I mentioned earlier, to serve the communities, and especially the supermarkets. So thank God we did not have the fight over the tissue rolls that was happening overseas. The other thing is that in there also, they also had regular communication with us. So every single day, we tune at a specific time on the TV, and they update us about how many cases, what is happening, what's going on, what are the protocols, what are the definitions, what should we do, what shouldn't we do, regular communication, which is a key issue here. Now, the third work stream is protecting jobs and supporting businesses. And I believe the government worked a lot to help lots of people, specifically in this stream. So they supported small and medium businesses. So they allotted different grants, different loans, different tax releases, and all this was to keep the cash flow and to keep businesses running. And more specifically to the employers and the employees, they provided a scheme called wage subsidy. So this is, they had now this is the second one. So the organization would apply for that scheme. And then what happened is that in order to keep their employees, so the full-time employees were granted 585 point fractions if they are full-timers, $385 per week, by the way, if they were part-timers. Of course, the essential workers who would leave scheme, if they were under the health and safety, they had to have leave. They also got paid exactly like the same wage subsidy scheme. And also, they had also a program for redeployment. So they allocated 100 million. So for example, in Gisborne, this is one of our cities here in the North Island, they gave 28 million for the redeployment of forestry workers into other activities, into roading, construction, in order to retain them and still have jobs. If we're looking at the stream 4, which is financial stimulus to make macroeconomic policies, specifically to the health sector, they gave a package of 500 million, and this is to help public communications and testing and the tracing, and also to support the GPs because of there was a lot of pressure on them. People, of course, were panicking. Lots of people were not using the hotline and going to the GPs, and of course also community pharmacies. The general businesses, they made a deal with the banks. The banks gave 6 months mortgage holidays, and individuals, of course, for people, homeowners. And some of them, they would pay only interest, or some of them, they had a 6 months holiday. There is tax relief measures, and they also had temporary changes in the Company Act in order to help and assist people. For example, people were at home, so now they started accepting, for example, e-signatures. The other thing is also in the export and the import, the New Zealand Trade and Enterprise, they made a deal in order to, with the government and Air New Zealand, in order to keep supporting the air freight during that time, and also a 4 million for the export business continuity services was launched. There's also a launch of the New Zealand marketplace, so businesses can communicate with each other. And also there has been total exemption from tariffs for any COVID-19 products like medical or hygiene products. The final stream is the 5th stream, and this one is to do with promoting social cohesion. There was 16 million for NGOs to support families and whānau. Whānau is the Maori word for families, and the concept is actually not only your immediate family, it's a bigger concept, the whole community, to help them in these COVID-19 circumstances. Another 6 million for the disability community, also participation during the lockdown, 4.8 million in order to provide innovative solutions for the communities, and 67 million that was spent in the last 2 months in order to help the people who are from overseas and stranded here in New Zealand during COVID-19. So the summary of all this discussions and findings, how the New Zealand government has intervened with those efforts with the businesses and employees trying to have sustainability and continuity in the workforce, still there were some challenges that they faced. So unfortunately, some of those businesses who got this wage schemes did not give it to the employees. So accordingly, those people are under, or these organizations are under investigation right now. Also, the unemployment in New Zealand is rising, like everybody else in the whole globe. So if I look at the exact figures, when I checked it, it was saying that in this quarter, which was in March 2020, it rose from 4 to 4.2. And I am sure that right now it also increased because there's few months span of time. Also, there are lots of employees who were not technically savvy. They were also facing a lot of technological challenges because they were forced to work from home while this transformation is happening. So there's actually a need of reskilling and upskilling. There's lots of also organizations that announced solvency and lost their employees lost their jobs, and this happened in all countries, all industries across the board, whether it's aviation, which happened aggressively, agriculture and food, construction, tourism, of course, and hospitality, and the retail sector that was hit also badly. Even we had the publishing of magazines, the New Zealand magazines, they closed. But I just heard yesterday that they have been bought by an Australian organization, and hopefully it will start running again. Now, if we're going to sum up the dimensions of the future of workforce and the new normal, we can actually divide it into 3 areas, which is to do culture, the culture of the organizations, and how we are going to deal with the digital skills and upskill and reskill our employees. Also the space, the working environment, is it going to be remotely at home, or is it going to be in offices? And also the workforce, and these are the main 3. So suggestions and opportunities for the future after all of that is that the organizations need to be strengthening their home, working from home policies. They need to introduce a hybrid approach for the workplace and culture. There has been a lot of improvement in this field, but there is still more opportunities to be looked at. Also, there is a need for entrepreneurial spirit. We require more creativity, more innovation in businesses. Organizations also should become less competitive and more collaborative with each other. Streamlining organization processes to deal with speedy responses is very crucial so that we can combat any crisis in future. Also promote the work culture changes to fit the new normal of the future of work and to accommodate the diversity of the people working in it. Also allocate funds for reskilling and upskilling, because this is important, because to deal with the gap, there is a gap and a mismatch between the supply and the demand that is required for the future workforce. Finally, I would like to leave you with this quote: "You can't wait until a house burns down to buy fire insurance." So we cannot wait until there are massive dislocations in our society to prepare for the 4th industrial revolution. So let us all work together, consolidate in order to recover from COVID-19. Thank you.
Okay, Siham, thank you very much. This is a wonderful presentation. And as usual, Siham, you brought lots of life to this discussion. Emmanuel, if I bring you on board as well, if I unmute you. Now, Siham, it's really a great pleasure. And again, thank you very much for staying awake for us. We appreciate that. Now,
Okay.
I would like to open it for the questions. We are a little bit over time, but we are allowing for that. Definitely, we will be okay. We are now, for all the people who are watching us now, if you can just maybe raise the hand sign, unless being told by anything. So you have watched, hopefully both of you have, so all of you have watched both Professor Manuel and Dr. Siham, two wonderful kickoff of this conference. I think the very important two messages, technology like what we are using now is extremely useful. And the fact we have Siham, we have even Professor Manuel from Bristol, he's talking to all of you. I can see people from Saudi Arabia, America, whatever it is. Now, secondly, the second message, we need to adapt quickly, as Siham said, because we need to start doing the work. And that's what every government is saying. Now, I would like to open it for questions. So who is like to, but if you can kindly make your question really sharp, short and direct to the question, and say whom is it for, if you like, or for both of them. Now, it's the questions time now. Could you show the hand if you want to ask any question?
Dr. Alam, is it going to be on the chat?
No, I will give them the floor to talk, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's good.
Or Dr. Iman, what do you suggest? Is that correct?
Yes, this is the best way.
Yeah, so if anyone will, yeah, who want to start?
After raise hand, we can give the mic.
Yes, if you would like to ask a question, just raise the hand one. Please be with us because the first time we have to. Any question? Any question? Because I don't want to ask my question first. I want you to. I mean, there's a couple of questions I have seen from there. Because by the way, this is live on the YouTube and on Facebook now. Okay, I will keep watching. I try to watch at the moment. Now, Siham, there's a question being asked. Yes, these preparations, these adaptations at work, we have to do them. And Manuel already talked about learning technologies and the quality.
Yes.
Now, number one, the question is many countries in the world, many, not few, many, like in Africa, is going to be very difficult for them to adapt or to change anything. Because just give you example of Africa, for example. During the pandemic, even the WHO acknowledged that one of the problems in the entire continent, they cannot even stay at home, not because they do not want to obey the social distancing, but that's how they do, how they get their food, how they get to work. There's no delivery services like we have in the UK, probably in New Zealand and others. So what do you, because we're always keen on global problems here, what can you offer to those from developing countries? And I will come to Manuel as well. But because you started this quite heavily on the work, what can they do? There's many parts. Like us in the UK, we can adjust easy, France, Germany, all OCDs. Now, can you talk to me about those in least developing countries or in the World Bank? Last one.
Yeah, the thing is that the important thing is the collaboration happens everywhere. It should happen everywhere. And actually, there is a stronger word which is called solidarity, that we have to stand together. And there has to be a shift, a paradigm shift in attitude, the attitude of people, the way the people are thinking. Here in New Zealand, if we started by inside there are lots of kids who are homeless. There are lots of families who are living in their cars, and it was very difficult. So there were lots of initiatives like food banks and trying to support people and trying to help people. For example, there were lots of farms, and in these farms, even the farmers, because they did not have workers, there's even shortage of workers. The crops were rotting. There's nobody to pick it up. So we have here a community online. It's called Neighborly. And in this Neighborly group, people can participate in it, and anybody can send a request for the community to help. So as we are doing inside each community, we should actually have this model and actually apply it all over the world. I'm not sure if what I heard, like we go and give to all those World Vision and those the kids and things like that. I heard something that most of the money that we give goes to admin and to workers more than the people, poor people who need it. So we need to have more conscientious people or better systems and better business models instead of this money going on admin and things like that, to go to actually the people who need to eat, to help.
Okay, Siham, again, the final word is yours. How will the future look like? You are in New Zealand, but maybe in your case, I will add, yes, maybe add a flavor to the question. New Zealand is the first country to declare that New Zealand, or not, is being cited all over the world. Your government has managed very well combating this pandemic. So all over the world, the people are talking about New Zealand, and you were one of the. I think you are the first country to restart the life of trains and so on. Now the question to you, I want just a single. I know, Siham, you can tell me many reasons. I want you the single most important lessons from New Zealand for those who are watching us, and when they watch by the way, we got many government, we have 2 government advisor in our advisory board. Now, what is the key, one key strong message to the world who are watching us, what New Zealand has done, which can, they have to do it? And secondly, don't tell me because of the women. I know the women we always support women. No. The reason I'm saying that, there is lots of things going in the Facebook. Women are better, and I agree. Women, and we are here. We have a big session about women empowerment. But we know that many people, they admire your prime minister, no question. So don't say something else.
Don't worry.
And how do you see the future, Siham, in the next 5-6 months?
We are already out. We're out on the street. We are normal. We're living normally now. But because we declared we're free of COVID, but now we opened our borders, so COVID is coming back. So the key thing here, you see, how did we combat it is by solidarity and collaboration and listening, and all of us working together. Teamwork.
Excellent.
That's it.
I can't say anything, Siham. Thank you. Very good work.
And also respect to leadership.
Excellent.
That's very important. Okay. How we are going to move is that right now we were trying to make deals with Australia, so we grow our bubble, because economically we're hit badly, like lots of countries all over the world. We are trying to recover economically. There are lots of people who are really lost their jobs, and in education there are lots of private institutes. They created a new term called teaching out. So they are teaching all the international students, and after they finish and give them the certificates, they're locking the doors. They are not surviving. So lots of institutions are closing. Hopefully in the future, new ones will open again. The only ones who had a stash of money aside, those are the only ones who may survive this. But the key thing is that when we're trying to open our bubble, it depends also on the other countries. We have been in negotiation with Australia, and now Australia are having more cases in Melbourne, so they went back to lockdown. Our government was so scared that we open and then we go back to lockdown. So they were very, very careful.
Thank you very much, Siham.
We need people outside to be well too, because we all depend on each other. We cannot survive in only one bubble. We need all the other people outside to survive too.
Excellent.
We need to help each other.
Thank you very much, Siham. And I really, you have uplifted all of us and those who are watching us worldwide. Really, solidarity is a good word. And I think that's what exactly this has assembled, because I remember someone from outside Bright who said to me, Alam, he's late 30 and his wife also late 30. And he said to me, our next door neighbors who are much older than us, they knocked our door saying, do you need any help? Because we haven't seen you out. We thought maybe you are, and he said that's really emotionally and psychologically, he said it's really bonded him with his neighbor next door. So thank you very much, Siham. Thank you very much, Manuel. I hope all the people who are watching at home, particularly after this very uplifting session, so if we can say thank you to them in a very usual way.
So please remember, if we all help and do a little bit, it will make a big difference.